Hey everybody, this is Brian Stein with JetBets, the gambling podcast, getting you ready for week 1 of college football season. Week 0 was a little rough for us. I think we ended up going 1-3, but we've got some big names, some big games, and some big time chances to win some money, so let's jump into it. Let's start with the Thursday banger here, the return of the backyard brawl. The Pittsburgh Panthers are 7.5-point favorites against the West Virginia Mountaineers. Both of these teams have had a lot of changes over the offseason here. This is going to be a fun game to kick off week 1 of college football. Let's take a look at this matchup. The Panthers had 3 key losses this offseason. Obviously, we all know about standout QB Kenny Pickett. He was drafted in the first round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Biletnikoff award-winning wide receiver Jordan Addison has transferred out and is in USC now, and then offensive coordinator Mark Whipple also took a job with Scott Frost over at Nebraska. To ease the loss of Kenny Pickett, the Panthers have brought in former USC starting QB Kendon Slovis. Slovis is no slouch as a starting QB, and while I don't expect him to have a Kenny Pickett type of season, he's just what the Panthers needed to keep this offense rolling. Pitt is returning all 5 of its offensive line starters, 3 of which are former All-Stars from last year. They're also adding in Konata Mumfield at the wide receiver position from Akron to help ease the loss of Jordan Addison. Even though there are some big names missing from this offense, I still expect Pitt to put up points at a high clip this season, and especially this week against the Mountaineers. Switching over to the Mountaineers, they were hit a bit harder by the transfer portal this offseason. All the transfers couldn't even fit on a single screenshot here, actually. Probably couldn't fit on 2 or 3 of them. But the biggest addition to the Mountaineers was former UGA quarterback JT Daniels. Daniels has a good arm and isn't afraid to push the ball downfield. The talent around JT isn't quite as good as what it is around Keaton Slovis on the other side of the ball, but there's enough talent around here to definitely make it work. If I'm being totally honest here, the hook scares the crap out of me. I think Pitt wins this game, but I think the Mountaineers are going to keep it competitive. Both of these offenses are the strength of their teams. I feel really good that the over is going to hit here. You're getting it a little bit juiced at 51.5 at -105. I'm going to lean here. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm going to ride with over 51.5. Our second game of the slate here is on Saturday. Utah is 2.5-point favorites against the Florida Gators. The total here is 51.5. At first look, you may wonder why an SEC team is an underdog versus Utah. But if you take a closer look, you'll see here that the Utes had a great season last year. They finished 10-4. They were 15th in the nation in points per game. And the Gators really struggled last season. Couldn't break 500. There's a lot of returning starters here for Utah. This offense should look almost identical to what it was last season. Really excited to see that. While Utah will look pretty similar to their 2021 team, the Florida Gators are going to look entirely different. Anthony Richardson will be their starting quarterback. He's a big size, speed guy, built in the same vein as Cam Newton. Not saying he's going to have that kind of production, but he didn't have the full reins last year. He was sharing time with another quarterback. Now, this year, it's his team, it's his offense to make things move forward. While the offense is going through some much-needed changes, the defense needs to do the same. The Gators' defense was ranked 10th in the SEC and 51st in the nation last year, leaving much to be desired from a former defensive powerhouse down in Gainesville. While it may feel weird to not take a big name like Florida, especially when they're underdogs, Utah is just a better team right now. I'm taking them -2.5. As long as it stays under 3, I'm feeling really good about taking the Utes. Our final pick of week 1 is a story of redemption. 2 former powerhouses trying to return to glory. LSU is 3.5-point favorites against the Florida State Seminoles. In last week's tune-up game versus Duquesne, the Seminoles showed how they intend to stay in games this year by running the football. They had 300-yard rushers last week against the Dukes, and while the Tigers are going to be a much tougher opponent this week, the offensive game plan for the Seminoles is going to stay the same. Run, run, run. There's been a lot of well-deserved jokes around Brian Kelly picking up and leaving the Fighting Irish while they were in the middle of a playoff berth. But to his credit, it does seem like he's poised to quickly turn around this LSU team. Coach Kelly's picking up the pieces of a 6-7 season and is revamping the offense, starting with the QB position. There's a lot of talent in that QB room, so even though they haven't announced a starter yet, it will be an improvement from last year. Whoever will be under center will be delighted to be throwing the ball to one of the best wide receivers in the country, Kayshon Boutte. A first-round lock for the NFL draft, the offense is going to run through Kayshon regardless of who is at QB. I'm riding with the LSU Tigers minus 3.5 on Saturday. A one-dimensional Florida State is going to struggle to keep up with the revamped offense of Brian Kelly, so I think this has a chance to be a blowout. So here's our card for week 1 of college football. We like the over on Thursday night in the backyard brawl. We like Utah minus 2.5 over Florida, and LSU minus 3.5 over Florida State. Guess we're anti-Florida today. That's okay. We're looking to bounce back here after a rough week. We were 9-0 prior to last week, finished 1-2 last week. We will bounce back and be better than ever this week. And that's all we have for week 1 of college football. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel here. Comment down below what your favorite pick for week 1 of college football is going to be. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at JetBetsGamble. And be sure to check out our podcast. It drops weekly. During the NFL season, we go over every single NFL pick from start to finish, track our bets all year round. All right, guys. College football is really here now. Now let's go win some money.